Alrighty.
Alrighty, perfect. Okay, hi everyone. My name's Alexa, and we have a few of us MESCOP MPH Ambassadors here today to give a pretty short and sweet presentation on how to not only not survive, but rather thrive in grad school, even in these times. So we're gonna first go through our bios. Next slide. Okay, cool. So again, my name's Alexa, and I am an incoming second year student in the MPH Health Behavior Health Promotion concentration. My hometown is in the Bay Area, California, San Jose Bay Area. But I've lived 10 years in Oregon, so that's my home now. Before coming to graduate school, I got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the University of Portland in Oregon, and worked as a nurse before I started my MPH. So my current internship is with United Way of Tucson and Southern Arizona, and I'm researching the mental health and social isolation of LGBTQ populations during the pandemic, and specifically looking at mental health of older adults. And before COVID happened, I had a previous internship planned, but I then transitioned because of the pandemic, had changed a few things, and started with United Way. And I'm really grateful for that because I've really enjoyed my time, even as a remote intern. And lastly, my interests outside of school all day are painting and art, exploring nature. As you can see here, me in the Tucson mountains with my friend's dog. You can't hardly see him, but on the west side of Tucson. And I love cooking and baking, listening to podcasts, and hanging out with other people's pets. All right, next slide.
Okay, that would be me. Hi everyone, my name is Princess Onyemesi. I am an incoming second year for the MPH program, and my concentration is Health Services Administration. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but then I moved to Washington, D.C. for a couple of years to get my bachelor's in psychology from Howard University. For my internship, I am working with Empowerment Systems, Inc., and I'm learning how to develop and deliver and evaluate health education. So basically, I'm working on health promotion right now in different aspects of public health. My interests are dancing, traveling. I like to experience new things, and I absolutely love food. So that's one of my definite interests. And beyond that, I like to be creative. I kind of put on my slide here, I like to change up my hair a bit. I like to dress in different outfits, like to, do things like that. And that's my little dog, Smokey, my first and only child at the bottom there. So yeah, that's all for me. Go ahead, next slide.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexis Wade, and I'm an incoming second year in the MPH Family and Child Health Global Concentration. I'm originally from Allegan, Michigan, although I got my Bachelor of Science in Anthropology from University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. My internship is currently I'm currently working to understand the retail sector's response to COVID-19 through the University of Arizona, and I'm working with Dr. Mona Aurora. Essentially, we are scouring the internet and retail listservs for information on how merchants have prevented COVID-19 and where they're getting their information from. So we're hoping the CDC. When I'm not in school, my interests are hiking, cooking, rock climbing, service networking, and exploring new places. So as you can see here, I have a picture of myself in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm climbing in another. The bottom left photo is me at Seven Falls. I definitely recommend checking out Seven Falls in the springtime after the monsoon season. It's beautiful. And then on the bottom right, I climbed Mount Wrightson with my partner. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rodrigo Valenzuela Cordova. I'm also a rising second year MPH student in health behavior health promotion. I'm a Tucson native, born and raised here in Tucson. Currently live in Tucson as well. I attended the University of Arizona for my to get my bachelor's in public health in the health deliveries track, which I don't think exists anymore. But I'm currently working on getting my internship, or currently working on putting together my internship, and we are going to be understanding or identifying and understanding the impact of COVID-19 on the Mexican origin population here in Tucson, Arizona, and to see what the future steps for research will be. And so we plan to do that by sending out or interviewing and also surveying the population that was previously recruited for another study that we were working on. So that's in the works, and I have tons of interests. I'm a huge coffee fanatic, so if anyone loves coffee, I love talking about the different types of coffee and having debates on which one's the best. But of course, trying new foods, and I love traveling and going outdoors. I had the honor to go to APHA 2019 last year, and I go to New York City a lot to go visit friends. So yeah. Next slide.
Hi everyone, my name is Sydney. I'm a second year in the MPH track for epidemiology. I am from Phoenix, but I'm currently in Tucson. I got my BS in exercise science from Northern Arizona University, and my current internship is working with the LIVE study, which is out of the University of Arizona Collaboratory. So I work with Dr. Tracy Crane, and I'm analyzing the sleep data that was collected from a large cohort of ovarian cancer survivors. Before the pandemic hit, I had a internship lined up with the NIH, and then quickly pivoted once things switched virtually. So this is now my virtual internship, but it's been great. My interests, I like CrossFit and just working out and exercising. I like riding my bike. There's a really good bike loop in Tucson. So if you like biking, check that out. Coffee, I like craft beer and going to new breweries, traveling, and just being outside in general. Next slide.
Hi, my name's Josh Hunsaker. I am also a second year MPH in the epidemiology tract. I am not from Arizona, one of the few people. I am from Helena, Montana. I got my bachelor's degree in cell biology and neuroscience from Montana State University. My current internship that I'm working on is research and development with the studies called the Arizona Cohort. It's a longitudinal cohort study that's basically aimed at measuring both acute illness and long-term health outcomes that are associated with COVID-19. And my PI would be probably a little bit upset if I didn't at least plug that it was an ongoing study. So if you're, the only requirements is that you're an Arizona resident and you can participate. So my interests, I've been fortunate enough to kind of be a lake bum this summer. I'm still in Montana. I'm planning on going back to Tucson here this week, but yeah, I kind of like all things outdoors, golfing, fishing, skiing. I've been kind of an ongoing thing is learning how to cook, but that's still in the works. Yeah, next slide.
All right, we're gonna do a quick pause so you can write down the passport number 3 for this session, which is from the MPH Ambassadors session. And also, once you're done doing that, we just wanted to ask who of you participants are gonna be near campus this year. So whether that be Tucson or Phoenix, if you could like give a thumbs up. I don't know if you know how to use the thumbs up on Zoom. It took me a while to learn that. It'd be super interesting if you all wanted to share like if you'll be near campus this coming semester. I see one thumbs up. I'm gonna put mine up. Yeah. Oh, Josh, you raised your hand. Well, that works. Thumbs up. I got a check mark. Got some few folks. Slowly.
Looks like we got a couple. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure there's a few more, but it takes time to learn how to do that. But anyway, all of us, except for Princess, are in Tucson, and Princess is in Phoenix. So just wanted to let you know, I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so who are we? So we are ambassadors, and we just started in this role. As first years, we were not ambassadors of MESCOF, and now we are, and we're really just here to welcome you all new students, and we're here for you. You know, any questions, mentorship, anything, we're here, and we're so willing and eager to help you in any way we can. We're really passionate about having an inclusive environment. So please feel free after the session to ask questions. We'll also have our contact information available right at the last slide as well. So we're here to serve as a resource for the college for prospective students, and participate in events and outreach activities, especially virtually going forward, such as Admitted Students Day, student panels, the coffee break blog on the MESCOF website. And we also are involved in the social media for the college. The ambassadors, you know, take over the Instagram, which is linked there, so you should follow us, UAZ Public Health on Instagram. And that features like student takeovers, information, events, fun facts, things that are going on at the university and the college. And we're here to, you know, help connect people. We're here to, you know, help connect you to resources and other students throughout different concentrations, and really be a resource and be an enthusiastic and genuine one. So yeah, all right, next slide.
Just as a quick note, there is more ambassadors in different concentrations as well. This year is a big group of ambassadors. We have over 30 ambassadors for the next academic year. We'll be working to update the ambassador information, so you all will be able to see their pictures, their concentration, their interest areas, and you'll be able to email them if you have any questions, as well as those that are here today.
All right, and here we're going to give you some tips to thrive during this program. We were talking as a collective, and we just decided that, you know, there's important to have some downtime, some time to yourself. You need to be able to choose activities that are important to you, mingle and mix with people inside and outside your concentration or even your cohort. Just find ways to get your mind right, keep you sane, basically, especially during this time. Finding a good balance between your personal life and your graduate school life and your work. It's just the best way to actually make your time here successful and fun. For me personally, I believe in work hard, play harder. I always emphasize self-care when it comes to my scheduling. I like to unwind, like I mentioned earlier, by being creative. I love to change my hair. I've had like blue hair, red, pink, blonde, black, straight, curly, short, long. That's my way of expressing myself, which allows me to be able to like not think about work or school and just time for myself. That, along with my passion for dancing, just things that I like to do for myself. I will also take myself out on a date. I will take myself to happy hour. I'll take myself to brunch. Like, I like to do things with myself, and just another way to get my mind off of all of the nonsense that's happening. Before COVID hit, I used to love to travel. I would always make time for it, class or not. I'm not gonna say that. I would always make time for it one way or the other. It was a great way to just experience new things while I still have the chance to. Sometimes school allows you that flexibility to be able to take your breaks and go home and visit family or spend time with friends. It allows you a lot of freedom. Other than that, it just comes down to whatever makes you happy, whatever you want to do to take your mind off of school, whatever you want to do that you just personally enjoy for yourself. That's the best way to be able to balance between school, work, and your personal life. Just don't be afraid to take that time. Does anybody else want to share what they do to wind down or how they thrive? It's the ambassadors, I mean.
I'd just say kind of like what you said, but it's just easy to get bogged down by lots of emails and Zoom meetings, especially the Zoom meetings in this current situation we're in. So even just, removing yourself from the room that you mainly do work, and then just, taking a short break, even, 30, 40 minutes, and before you need to get back to things can help a ton. So yeah, just finding little things to keep you sane, like you said.
I also think it's important to find time to hang out with friends or family safely, obviously. So whether that's outside or whatever you feel comfortable with. So just setting that time aside. I mean, even pre-pandemic was super important as a grad student. It's just really easy to get caught up in your work. So just make a conscious effort of it.
I'm going to echo that, and I definitely think it's important to give yourself some green time. That's how I like to call it. Going outside, and there are so many trails and hikes around here. If you're not a hiking person, there are parks, or even just getting up from your laptop and taking a walk around the block every hour or so, just so that you are seeing the outdoors, because especially through this pandemic, we're going to be inside a lot. So get outside.
And I believe that's all for the ambassadors. Oh, and don't be afraid to take a nap. It's a great thing to just be able to take some time to do. Just another great way. But all right, next slide, please.
All right, so getting involved this year may be a bit more challenging given the pandemic, but we have a list here of organizations and clubs that are at MESCOF and at U of A that will still be running virtually. So I'd like to start off with MESCOF organizations and call out the Social Justice Symposium, or SJS. This is where students collaborate with faculty and the community to host a spring semester symposium on a social justice topic of their choosing. Last year, Alexis, Rodrigo, and I actually worked with Chris, Tish, and Isela to bring MESCOF's 14th annual SJS to life virtually. So that was the very first time it was held virtually, but it was successful. There's also Lucha, Living United for Change in Arizona, which is a student-led organization that connects students to community service opportunities to create awareness for border health and human rights issues in the United States-Mexico border region. And I believe Rodrigo and Alexa are part of this group as well. Then there's also the AIIHA, or the American Indian Indigenous Health Alliance, which is a student organization that seeks to enrich the educational and professional experience of Indigenous students at University of Arizona. Of course, you've already met some of us, but the student ambassadors. And then there is the Public Health Student Alliance, which is a student org in Tucson and Phoenix that promotes the networking of students. And I believe Princess is the only member of this group that is part of PHSA. So maybe she can tell you some more about that. Some non-MESCOF organizations would be like GPSC, the Graduate and Professional Student Council, And they work to basically promote academic, economic, and social success of us, the students. There are many other organizations and clubs that want to support you and provide you a fun but also safe environment during your college experience. If you check out the Get Involved section on the hub, there will be more opportunities there as well. So we came together and we were trying to come up with some volunteer opportunities for this time period. So you may volunteer with SAFER, which is a student aid in field epidemiology and response. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong.
You got it.
Okay, so this group of students is basically volunteering to work with health professionals through contact tracing of COVID-19. You could also volunteer as a poll worker for the upcoming election. You could volunteer at the community food bank or become a pen pal for the elderly at senior care facilities. Other groups to consider joining are the College Environment Committee, who last year initiated the Gender Neutral Bathroom Project and the Art for the Heart, or the Inclusive Excellence Committee. And of course, like, this is the best time to network through emails. Be a pest. Like, email your professors and your peers. Like, you have to get to know people. I have some other like tips and tricks, but they won't really work during the pandemic because you can't physically see people as easily. But I'm sure throughout the year we will come up with ways where we could virtually hang out or even like social distance hang out. So don't be afraid to ask. Next slide.
So at this point, some of you may have already heard about the internship requirements and have an idea of kind of how important this is. Like, this is just a huge chunk of your experience during your MPH. So we just wanted to talk a little bit more about our recommendations in terms of going, like, and finding an internship and pursuing those opportunities. So our experiences as second years may be different than what you will experience, and it'll just depend on where we're at in the pandemic. All of us had to pivot quickly to online only, so it may or may not be the case for you all as well. So just keep that in mind, that it may be slightly different. But a few ways to find internships that we all kind of agreed on that were good ways. Firstly, the Hub has a lot of resources for internships. Tanya and Kim do a really great job of updating that information, and you can find pretty extensive lists of all internships that have been done for like going back several years. So that's a really good place to start looking for internships and just getting like a general idea of what's out there and what's available. Another thing that I would really recommend is seminar. As a first year, at least in Epi track, it's not recommended that you take seminar. However, everyone gets sent the seminar emails, whether you're enrolled or not. And so I used to look at those emails, and if there was a speaker that I was interested in or like research I was interested in, I would just go because anyone can attend those. So, I mean, you can log on if they're going to be on Zoom. So just watch the Zoom. And if it's recorded, watch the recording. And it's a really great way to learn about industries in the area or opportunities that are out there for your concentration or public health in general. And also that is a really great way to just like, if you're interested, you can kind of use the faculty who run seminar as a gateway to be like, hey, is there any way I could meet so-and-so who presented last week because I found their information their project really interesting. So seminar is a great way to learn about internship opportunities and take advantage of that for sure. Also, Another way to find internships is just talking to second years, like learn about what they did and what opportunities they may have had pre-pandemic, if that's going to be available for you all, or even opportunities that we had for our internship, because as we graduate and move on, if it's research, someone's going to have to come in to fill those positions, and that could be you, and we can help you do that. So talk to second years. If there's someone that is doing research that you find that research interesting, or working with an organization and that's interest of you. So just reach out to second years. Also, there's the internship conference every semester at the end of the semester where the second years present their internships. And so volunteering for that, or even just attending that, is a really great way. My first semester I went to that and I learned a lot about the different opportunities that were available. So I found that super helpful. And then also, it sounds kind of weird, but Indeed has a lot of great internships, and a lot of the times it's in industry and it's paid. So those are competitive. It's just like applying for a job. So you have to have your resume down and a good cover letter and kind of be ahead of the game. But I was super going into my internship. Pre-COVID, I really, really wanted an industry internship. So I was aggressively applying to everything in industry through Indeed. And I was able to kind of leverage the relationships with the faculty, and some of the faculty had plugs in industry. And so that was able to help me get interviews. I ended up getting a internship with the NIH, which is not necessarily industry, but I was still happy with it. And then that was also like faculty writing great letters of rec, and I had established relationships with faculty, and they were able to speak on kind of what I was already doing in the college. So make sure you get involved. If you kind of want to go more like NIH or CDC, start making those relationships with faculty and establishing those connections for good letters of rec. Also, funding. Some internships are funded and some are not, but I wouldn't let that deter you, because there's a lot of external funding opportunities. The GPSC, like Alexis mentioned earlier, offers funding for internships and traveling and conferences and research and a whole bunch of different things. So check that out. And then also the Western Regional Public Health Training Center also offers funding. Alexa knows more about that if you have questions about that. So whether the internship is funded or not, don't be deterred. If it's something that you're genuinely interested in, go after it, because you're going to enjoy it. Also, I just can't stress enough like how important it is to reach out to faculty. If someone's doing work that you're interested in, email them. If they don't reply the first time, it's okay, email them again. And if they don't reply the second time, I would email them a third time. Honestly, I use the 3 email rule. Faculty are just really busy. Don't be discouraged if they don't reply the first time. I landed a lot of my research opportunities after being like, I felt weird, but I emailed them 2 to 3 times and then they finally replied. So it's worth taking the time to send a few emails. And then I think that's all I had, but I know all of us have a bit to add in regards to the internship. So if there's any other mentors that want to step in. Anything else? No? Okay, cool. So if you have more questions about internships, please feel free to connect with us and we can guide you in the right direction or share our experiences. So next slide, please.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a little bit about navigating the MPH program. It's kind of already been echoed, but don't be afraid to ask questions. In our discussion yesterday, we were all admitted kind of being a little bit intimidated when we first got to orientation, whether it came to talking to other students or even talking to faculty. But you're all in the same boat. People are going through the same things, so don't be afraid to reach out. As well as don't be afraid to utilize resources, not just like web-based resources. There still are campus resources. There's things like the campus pantry, campus health. I think they've already talked about CAPS. If you're going through anything, there's probably a resource that campus has that can help you out in some way. A lot of that information, again, you can find on the hub or just the MESCOF website. But if there's something that you're curious about and you can't find anything on, you can always reach out to one of the ambassadors. Like they said, there's like 30 of us this year, so you should be able to get in contact with somebody if you have a question. Another thing is, I'm sure if you've already signed up for classes, you've seen the course sequencing form. It's kind of like a template for your specific concentration. Me personally, I was a little bit overwhelmed with all the classes when I first got here, so I followed that course sequencing guide pretty strictly for like the first semester, even a lot of the second semester. But that's kind of where you can find flexibility. A lot of your core classes, like EPA, MPB, those things are going to be kind of set in stone, and you're not going to have a lot of room for those. But your electives is kind of where you'll be able to set your free time. And if you're like a morning person, you work better in the mornings, you have that kind of flexibility, and that course sequencing guide can help you a lot in figuring out what to do for classes. Opportunities for funding has already kind of been mentioned, but there's other things like scholarships. Scholarship Universe is a UA only scholarship website that you can use. It's updated pretty frequently. I'd say like weekly, bi-weekly. And another one is they have named scholarships that you can apply for after your first semester. And those can help out a ton as well. You have to apply pretty early because they're usually pretty competitive, but be on the lookout for those. Other things, I mean, everyone's kind of already talked about it, but reach out to faculty. They are really the point. People have, they have all the connections, they know what's going on. So if there really is any other funding opportunities like GRAs, TA positions, they're going to be the people who will know about them first. But yeah, sometimes even us as ambassadors will know, and yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. Also, a big thing is read your emails. It seems very simple, but there'll be a ton of things that, Chris Tisch will send or other faculty will send, or it'll be forwarded to kind of the whole of the MPH. And you'll see things like positions that are opening, scholarship opportunities, even things like workshops for working on your CV or your resume, a ton of helpful things. So yeah, always be checking that. And there still will be events. A lot of them may be online, but still don't be afraid to go, be engaged. If you can, feel free to turn on your Zoom camera when you go. We love seeing your faces and getting to see everybody, even if it's for the first time. So there will still be events. You don't have to worry about that. And yeah, last but not least, try to make friends. Obviously, you're going to have to work on a lot of group projects and stuff like that in the MPH, and you'll meet a ton of good people, but it's just good to kind of put yourself out there. It can only help with your connections in the future. Yeah, next slide.
All right, so now for the fun part. No, I'm kidding. So going through some of the tips for being successful, especially during a virtual world, many of us will be taking classes virtually. There are different types of modes, as I imagine the staff and faculty have already explained to you. But for those of you who are planning to, work from home, I think what's really, really important, or, going to school from home, what's really important is creating a routine for yourself. I think, last semester when everything shut down, we were all kind of scrambling to figure out what to do. And we had to kind of establish a routine for ourselves so that we can, really finish off the semester strong. I think it's really important for you to start early. Like, think about what a routine would look like for you now. now that you have the time to really think about it. My current routine is mostly like, I set it up like as if I was at work, where, in the morning from 8 to 12, I'll just be sitting at my desk, taking some breaks in between, maybe 30-second or 5-minute breaks, and then like take a 1-hour lunch, and then go all the way through 5 o'clock. It really also depends on what your schedule is going to look like, and then also if you have GRE shifts, TA shifts, or any other type of position or job. So that's going to be very important. You also want to designate your own workspace. So like, set up your desk in a way that's going to be work for you and what you're going to need throughout the day. Also, have a space for yourself where you can, step away from your workspace and go into like a leisure space where you can relax and really separate yourself from school and work. That's going to be very important because you don't want to burn yourself out, especially early on while we're still trying to figure out what this semester is going to look like. And I cannot stress this enough, as everyone else has mentioned. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. It's really important for you to communicate with staff and faculty, even other MPH students or other students throughout the campus. It's really, staff and faculty are all there to help students. They're also going through some similar things where they're trying to figure out what works for them, especially when trying to figure out what's going to work for when lecturing, right? So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for questions. And also, like, if you're struggling in a class, I think the best thing that you could do for yourself is to contact your instructor and contact the TAs and the who are helping teach the course, and let them know, because the last thing you want to do is struggle throughout the semester or even throughout the year. And then of course, you want to, when working in groups, it's really important for you to also communicate with each other, and then schedule meetings over Zoom. And then we like doing that using Doodle Poll. Another one is When to Meet. So those are two really popular websites that people like to use to schedule meetings that works for everyone. So taking breaks, cannot stress that enough. And then if you need to find a space, and if being at home doesn't work for you, there are spaces on campus that are going to be open. For one, Drachman Hall should be open. They do have a scheduling system. So if you go to the public health, look up Drachman Hall scheduling, or ask Gisela for help, or any of the staff and faculty. And then you also have the Arizona Health Sciences Library, which is a special library for health sciences students. And it's going to be open. It's usually open late. So really just visit their website and then get to know what the hours are like. Phoenix also has a library. So Princess can definitely talk a little bit more about that. The main library on main campus is also going to be open, so don't be afraid to check that out. And then if for any reason you don't have Wi-Fi capability or availability at your house, or you don't want to be, you necessarily don't want to be on campus in a library, there are also Wi-Fi hotspots throughout campus and throughout the city. So if you visit this website, it'll map out every single place that has Wi-Fi and where you can park and just pretty much use your computer or laptop, from your car. So that's another option. And of course, don't be afraid to explore your city, explore the outdoors, and find your favorite coffee shops, tea shops. But don't forget to practice social distancing and do so safely, wearing a mask covering as well. So And then if you go to the next slide, this is just a picture of our own spaces. So the one on the top left is my space. So it's my own space where, this is where I spend most of my time at. And then we have Alexa's space, nicely decorated and organized. And then we have also Sydney's space, which I like her table because it lifts. But yeah, and then next slide. Final tip, have fun and bear down. All right, and then the next slide is all of our contact information. So if you have any questions for us and you'd like to kind of get a personal email from us, feel free to email us. But yeah, any questions?
So there's a question in the chat, if you don't mind if I jump in real fast. Asking about, I know Alexis kind of answered it, but I thought as the coordinator, I'd also kind of give my 2 cents too. Since we don't know how intense classes will be, do you recommend first-year students who are new to public health start with less units than what's on the recommended course sequencing? About 9 units was in parentheses. And similar to what Alexis said, every student is different, and I would just reiterate that sometimes you may want to err on the side of the more conservative side. So if you're concerned with that, I think you could reach out to me or Kim, and we can kind of determine, what that would mean specifically when you're thinking about dropping X class versus Y class. What does that do to your sequencing and that kind of stuff? And we can definitely have that conversation. Sometimes it makes a difference and sometimes it doesn't, and it would be perfectly fine. And then we can also, just know that the program, you can be really flexible in terms of being a full-time student versus being part-time and maybe one semester. You need to be part-time for, a myriad of different reasons. And then the next semester you can go back to being full-time, and that's perfectly fine. We will work with you on what that means for your specific path through the MPH program.
Yeah, just from kind of the epi track, this is what I've noticed, and I've kind of heard the same from other epis, is the classes kind of get more rigorous as the semesters progress. So the first semester it will be easier than second, easier than third is kind of what I've heard as far as the epi A and then epi B, epi C, and you're not really worried about your internship quite yet in that first semester, so you have a little bit more time to focus on classes. You're not necessarily trying to gather all this paperwork together, try to figure out an internship. You're not working on an internship yet, and that's kind of things that you'll do in your second and third semesters. So I just feel like you definitely, if you think you can take on a little bit more in that first semester, that's where I would suggest doing it.
We also forgot to mention that you all will have another opportunity to connect with more ambassadors in a social setting in the Friday afternoon of orientation on the 21st. And more information will be sent out from Misela about this soon.
I want to be respectful to everyone's time. I know we've hit the time limit, but if anyone wants to stay, if ambassadors are willing to stay, and if you want to ask them questions, but I'll go ahead and stop the recording here. And yeah, the floor is still yours.
Princess, I think there was a question for you. If you could talk about PHSA a little bit.
Right, so PHSA